So you've landed the role and you're officially a school leader, but now you're wondering, how do I make an immediate impact on teaching and learning? Not 6 months from now, not after observing for a semester, now. In this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to step into your new leadership role and make an immediate impact on teaching and learning without second guessing yourself or getting stuck in survival mode. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I help aspiring school leaders land their first leadership role and make an immediate impact on teaching and learning. Today's topic is 4 game-changing keys to lead with impact from day 1. Now, as an aspiring school leader, you don't just want to be excellent at the interview process. You also want to land that role, but be impactful as soon as you step in on day 1. And so here are some leadership lessons that I teach in my 8-week Elevate Your Impact program that are grounded in practical experiences that I have had, as well as what I teach aspiring school leaders. So again, 4 game-changing keys to lead with impact from day 1. Now, our first game-changing key is that I want you to start with your teacher's goals, not your agenda. You don't build credibility by coming in with a plan. You build it by showing you understand theirs. So here's one of the things that I teach in my 8-week coaching program, right? I teach aspiring school leaders, once you land that first role, once you step into the building on day 1, or if you have access to the particular program that you are using to evaluate teachers, I want you to go into the system and look at the goals that your teachers have set for themselves during their summative conference at the end of last school year. So here's the strategy. When you look at the goals of your teachers from last year, it's going to give you some insight into the level of instructional support that you are going to need to provide. Because these goals should be grounded in how they can become better teachers, and it is your job as a school leader to support them throughout that process. So what that looks like is, let's say a teacher wants to improve their ability to manage their classroom through classroom management. And so then it's going to be your responsibility to figure out how to provide them with feedback, some ongoing coaching, some resources, right? You can only be at one place at a time. However, if you are able to start to synthesize and code the goals of your teachers, the areas of improvement that they have said that they want to improve on, it's going to give you a level of leverage and acceleration as it relates to the support that you can provide them. Because before you stepped into the building, or even if you have, right, during your summer planning, getting into your first school leadership role, you are now able to get some insight into the mindset of your teachers. It's giving you that edge to be able to support them in ways that are going to move instruction forward. So go into the system, if you have access to it, before you've even had a conversation with those teachers, to start to develop a level of support and the lens that is needed to move things forward for them. Obviously, if you can have a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation to talk about those goals, that's just going to move things forward and accelerate that process. However, if you don't have that level of access yet, I want you to think about how you can go in and look at the goals, code it, and then maybe even provide some sort of professional learning, a community, a professional development, whatever it is around the data that is needed to move their goals forward, right? So before launching your own vision, I want you to review the goals of your teachers and how they have set those goals and how you can support them. I want you to ask what matters most to them. What instructional shifts are they hoping to make this year? Make it your mission to support them in achieving their goals, not just enforcing yours. So one of the mistakes that you can make when you are going into your first leadership role is thinking that it is your responsibility to just enforce. When really, I believe that you should be a servant leader first and a transformational leader second. And the reason why I say that is because a servant leader is somebody who is going to survey the environment, survey the goals, survey what is already happening, what is already established, what is already there, to then provide the level of transformation needed to move teaching and learning forward. You cannot, I believe that you cannot create transformation in an area where you don't know what needs to be transformed. You have to be able to take the time, show a level of humility to go in, see what their particular goals are, have conversations with your teachers, and then see how you can support their goals. So again, number one, our first game-changing key was to start with your teachers' goals, not your agenda. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to let you know about my latest book, Beyond the Classroom, helping aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. Now, this book is going to help you navigate the learning curve as you transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader, manage your busy schedule and reclaim your time to effectively be an instructional leader, take a holistic approach towards school leadership, and increase your instructional impact by fostering a school culture of feedback and coaching. So if you are an aspiring school leader looking to be an effective practitioner, head over to my website and grab your copy today. Number two, our second game-changing key is to get into classrooms early and often with purpose. Your presence sets the tone, but your purpose sets the direction. And so when you land your first leadership role on day one, within those first few weeks, you want to try to get into classrooms as much as you possibly can. And in those moments, you're not focusing on instruction per se. You want to focus on building a level of relational rapport with your teachers so that they can see that you support them. They can see your level of visibility. Your students are also seeing it as well. Because the last thing you want is for your students, for your teachers to not even know that you exist. Like, we know you exist in theory. Yes, you are the assistant principal or whatever it is that your role is. However, we don't see you enough to know what your mindset is as a leader. We don't necessarily know what the expectation is because you never show up in classrooms. What level of support can you provide me as a teacher if you're not visible, right? And so that is a constant thing that as a school leader, you are going to be tasked with all of the responsibilities that you have. You have to figure out ways to get into classrooms. I know that it is difficult. It is difficult for me personally, right? That is one of the struggles that a lot of, or not a lot, but let me say many leaders that I speak with, like, that's the struggle. It is the conflict of trying to get into classrooms, but also having the level of responsibility that is needed to help run a building, right? And so as a school leader, you have to be able to find that balance. Don't wait for formal evaluations to get into classrooms. You want to be in rooms as soon and as often as possible. Observe without judgment. Focus on student engagement, clarity of instruction, and alignment to learning targets. So here's one of the things that you want to be able to do as well. And this is one of the strategies that I teach in my Elevate Your Impact coaching program. It is, you want to be able to follow up with curiosity and not critique. So when you pop into classrooms, when you're doing an informal walkthrough, when you're doing your learning walks, whatever it is that you are going to call it, whatever the language is in your school culture, in your district, You want to be curious and not judgmental. And this is a strategy that my particular district, right, our assistant superintendent introduced to us during one of our administrative meetings. And my principal is very intentional about this, right? Be curious and not judgmental. So when you see something, even if you have a question in terms of it not being a strategy that you think is going to be effective for teaching and learning, right? You want to ask the question as opposed to accusing someone of something when you might just need additional information. So here's a question. What's something you're trying to strengthen in your practice? That's something that you want to ask your teacher. What's something you're trying to strengthen in your practice, and how can I support that? So now you're opening up the conversation, right? You're having an open discussion about how you can support the goals and providing insightful strategy into how you can move things forward. When you ask questions, it shows a level of humility as a leader, right? Because you could easily, by title, you could easily go in and start directing and do this and do that. And this is what you should be doing. And you could position yourself with a level of arrogance, meaning like, you know exactly what's going to move things forward. And this is the way that you should do things. And if you have that approach, I would challenge you to be self-reflective, to start to understand that you don't know everything, right? None of us knows. We don't know everything. But the key here is to not be judgmental. The key is to be curious. The key is to open up the dialogue, to have questions and listen, right? Actively listen to the concerns of your teachers, actively listen to what their goals are, and then figure out ways, and even ask them how you can support them with their instruction. So number 2 was get in classrooms early and often with purpose. Number 3, our third game-changing key to lead with impact from day one. Hold space for teachers, especially in the transition. So what I mean by this is, and this is something that I think I really leaned into this year. As a school leader, particularly if you have developed a level of relational trust with your teachers, they are going to bring concerns to you about how the school year is going, what things can be improved, right? But you have to be a leader that opens up that conversation. And when you are new in your role, you have to understand that you are bringing new energy, which is also going to bring a level of uncertainty. So you have to reassure those teachers that bring their concerns to you that you are not going to be combative, that you are not going to be defensive, that you are going to be open, and understanding that they're only bringing these concerns to you, not just to complain, but they're showing a level of concern. They're showing a level of concern because they want to move things forward for the entire school community. You have to be able to hold weight for those things that they bring to you, those concerns that they bring to you, and then figure out strategies. Maybe you bring those things back to your leadership team to see how you can improve. Everything's about improvement. If you as a leader are going to bring areas of improvement for your teachers to improve their instruction, you have to also be open to the level of critique, the level of constructive criticism that you are going to receive as a leader to move things forward as a school community. If you are lacking in systems, if you are lacking in discipline, if you are lacking in instructional supports, you need to be able to have an open line of communication with your teachers, because those are the things that are going to move things forward. It's just like teaching and learning doesn't just move forward because you as an instructional leader know everything. You've read all the books, you've been to the PD, right? It's not all about that. It's about building relational trust to understand that feedback, constructive criticism is a two-way street. But don't block the road, because that is a road to success. When two people can dialogue about the areas of improvement and you can allow your ego to be put to the side, you show that you're on the same team as your teachers. And when you do that, only magic can happen. All right? So our Third game-changing key to lead with impact from day one is to hold space for teachers, especially in transition. I want you to practice active listening and also have some sort of structured follow-up during those conversations, right? Let me think about what you said, because there are going to be times when you don't have the answer to everything your teachers say. And you're not expected to, but the expectation will be, can you go back, find the answer, find the person who has the answer, and then follow up with that teacher? Because the follow-up and the follow-through is so important. Our fourth game-changing key to lead with impact from day one. Track the right wins, not just the visible ones. Impact isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It's a quiet shift in confidence, clarity, or alignment. So here's what I learned this year, and this is the thing that I teach aspiring leaders, right, all the time. Impact isn't always loud. This is one thing that I live. Impact isn't always loud. Impact can be a small shift. Impact doesn't always look like you bringing in this amazing program, this amazing club that your students are going to engage in. Like, impact can just be you walking down the hallway and taking time to help a student open a locker, right? Impact can look like you popping into a teacher's classroom and you staying in there for 2 minutes while they go and use the restroom, right? Impact can look like you opening up the lines of communication so that your teachers feel a level of trust and credibility with you to just vent for a second and you not take it personal. That's what impact can look like. Impact can look like you just giving this one little nugget of instructional change that shifts an entire classroom. Impact doesn't always look like a large assembly and you put in this new policy. And here's the thing, most of the time it's not going to look like that. Why? Because you are a part of a team, and most likely when you land your first leadership role, you are not going to be the primary leader, meaning you're not going to be the principal, right? You're not going to be the person that's calling all the shots. You are going to, and if you do this right, and if you do it intentionally, and these are the things that I'm teaching in my Elevate Your Impact coaching program, if you are developing a level of credibility and trust on a daily basis, your influence is going to increase, and you will see the impact based on the conversations, because your teachers are going to tell you. Your teachers are going to be very vocal in expressing how you have helped them, how you've listened to them, how you've taken the time to just have a regular conversation and that you weren't caught up in the title. They are going to express these things. And here's what I've noticed. The longer that I've been a school leader, the more that I'm able to build relational trust with teachers, the more honest they are with me about how I'm supporting them, the areas that I need to step it up, the areas where they need additional support, right? These are the things that you want to allow yourself time and the proper levels of support, right? Whether that's through your teachers, through your administrative team, to then help you increase your levels of influence, because influence is leadership and leadership is influence. So again, I want you to track the right wins. Remember, impact isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. One of the strategies that I also started to use is that I want you to keep a leadership journal. This is going to help you tremendously. Start to keep a leadership journal. This is going to allow you to track your progress. Every week, I want you to ask yourself, what teacher did I support and how? What shift in instruction or mindset did I notice? What's improving, even if it's not visible or on a scoreboard yet? Why? Because you are going to need to reflect on these moments of instructional impact, of leadership impact, because there are going to be times where your confidence is challenged. There are going to be times where you might not feel like you're making the level of impact that you're actually making, because you might not be able to see it on a daily basis. Remember, impact often is quiet. Impact often looks like you supporting someone else. And sometimes, as you will see, the impact or the level of support that you provide other people isn't always something that everyone sees. You could be doing it in pockets. You could be impacting someone just by your daily walk on a daily basis, right? Like the way that you carry yourself, the way that you handle situations, the way that you are constantly open to step in on behalf of your teachers. You need to be documenting this. So on those days where you feel frustrated, on those days where you need clarity, on those days where you need an additional boost of confidence, you can look back in that notebook, in your journal, and just reflect and remember on all of the great things that you have been doing. This is going to help you and sustain you and allow you to make an immediate impact on teaching and learning. Why? Because you will never start to sulk in the current circumstance. You can reflect on, these are the things that I'm doing to support other people, and I need to keep going. Sometimes we need to encourage ourselves. And you keeping a journal is definitely going to help throughout that process. All right. As we begin to close, I want to remind you that you're not just filling a role. You're stewarding a responsibility as a leader. You're stepping into this new school leadership role. You've prayed for this opportunity. You've prepared for this moment. Now it's time to lead with clarity, with humility, and also courage. Remember, leadership is not about being impressive. It's about being impactful. And impact doesn't start in year 2. It starts now. If you're getting ready to step into school leadership and you know you need additional support, you want to step into school leadership and make an immediate impact on teaching and learning, I want to personally invite you to join the Elevate Your Impact 8-week coaching program. This program was built for aspiring leaders just like you who want to walk into the role prepared to lead with boldness, clarity, and strategy. So send me a direct message, or you can email me at donovansmalls2@gmail.com, and let's elevate your impact starting today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, share it with another aspiring school leader, somebody who's been thinking about leadership, so that we can continue to impact as many people as possible, create better schools for our teachers and our students. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.
I love that you talked about mindset, because mindset is extremely important as you become a school leader. And so that leads us into our second complexity, which is navigating the learning curve, right? Whenever you are promoted to the next level in your career, you will always begin as a novice. So it doesn't matter that you are an effective classroom teacher, you have raving reviews from your students. Becoming a school leader is a different skill set. And so we need to start teaching aspiring school leaders that it takes a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness to understand just because you got results doesn't mean you're going to get results here. You need to work at this. And so one of the things I constantly think about is the fact that the learning curve can be steep. As a teacher, I'm walking into the building with a set schedule. As a leader, I might have a set schedule if I'm planning properly, but it might immediately become obsolete as soon as I walk in the building. The learning curve that I had to navigate was I'm walking in the building with my bags on. Teachers are firing questions at me. I haven't even made it to my desk yet. How am I navigating that? With being tactful,